Today, my interview with Mark Gurnow is going to highlight his career, how he got into the profession of golf, how he made a lifestyle out of it, and his vision now for what he does at Superstition Mountain Golf and Country Club. Thank you for tuning in. Look forward to sharing my conversation with Mark Gurnow at Superstition Mountain Golf and Country Club. Here we go. Mark, thank you for joining us on the Game Changer podcast. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to join us.
It's my pleasure. Glad to do it, Drew.
I want to give our audience and our membership here just some insight into your background, and I would love to learn some new things too in regards to the profession of golf. So if you could share with us when you were first introduced to golf.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I first started playing golf when I was 10 years old. I was in fourth grade. I remember it. Both of my parents played. My dad was a good player, single-digit handicapper, and played golf a lot. And my mom played pretty well. I mean, she would shoot in the 90s, so she was a good player for the ladies. They would play together on Sundays, and since I was the youngest in the family, they had to figure out what to do with me. And living in a small town, there's not a lot of choices. So they would say, come on out, come with it, bring a book or whatever, and I would ride in the cart with them. So I did that for months after month after month, and then, I swung my mom's club once or twice, and just kind of got hit in a golf ball once in a while. And it was kind of fun. And then in this little town at that club, what really got me going was they were actually playing in a couples golf tournament, so I was kind of left to my own devices. The caddies there at the club would take care of all the kids, right? I mean, they'd watch us and keep us in line. So I met a boy that was my age, and his parents were playing, so we decided we would play golf, and we've been lifelong friends since that summer in fourth grade.
That's awesome.
We played golf together all the way through high school.
Okay, awesome. Did you guys play together that day, on that day of the tournament?
Not that day, no, but it was like, okay, let's start playing golf. So this was back. This is back in the 60s, so life was simpler and life was very different. Mm-hmm. My dad would drop us, and there ended up being about 4 to 8 of us, depending on what day, but he and I, there were like 4 of us that were a core group that played all the time. My buddy Rob, he and I, my dad would drop us off at the golf course every day. Mm-hmm. My mom would make a sack lunch for me and his mom for him, give me a quarter, which would buy 2 Cokes and a pack of crackers. Yeah. And we would start at 8 o'clock in the morning, and we would play golf until my dad picked us up at 5 o'clock at night.
Wow. Some
days we'd play 36 holes, some days we played 18 and had putting contests. Some days we dropped our clubs off and snuck over to the hotel next door and went in the pool for a couple of hours until we got run out. And, I grew up doing. That's what I grew up doing.
Where were you? Logistically, where were you living?
Oh, St. Augustine, Florida.
Okay.
That's what I consider home. Yeah.
So lots of golf exposure.
Yeah, I mean, there was one golf course in town, in the whole county, when I grew up there, and it was busy in the winter and then slow in the summer, because it was a tourist town. Golfers came down in the winter, and it was a really cool place. I mean, a really old golf course, tremendous. Those of you that understand golf architecture, it was a Donald Ross designed golf course, built in the 20s. It hosted a national amateur professional championship. I mean, it hosted a lot of things back before World War II. Then kind of the landscape changed a little bit after that.
That's awesome. Is it still standing today?
No, it's not. It's gone. I was actually the golf professional there for about 10 years.
Okay, cool.
When I first got in the business, they called me and asked me to come back, and it was a great pleasure to be able to work at the club where you grew up with the members who were the members then. I was now working for them instead of just being the little kid that was in the way all the time. That's great. I can't think of any better way to grow up.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And did you start to get good as a kid? Like, were you competing, or was that not until?
We started our group again. There was myself, a guy named Rob, a guy named Dave, and then a couple of other guys. We started when we were about 13 years old, playing in the area junior tournaments, right?
Okay.
It was Jacksonville area, so Jacksonville was just about 30 miles north of us. So we started competing, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. I remember playing and wanting to win my age group, you know, and getting to do that, and then moving to the next age group and competing against the next one, and it was great. I mean, I shot my first subpar round when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
I was playing by myself part of the round, and then because nobody would have believed it. But then I joined up with two people who were in front of me, and a good thing I did because I had a hole-in-one, which was my first hole-in-one.
Wow.
Ever that same round. So I broke par and had a hole-in-one in the same round, and it was witnessed. I still have the card. It's framed. It sits in my office at home.
So at 13, were you thinking, I can actually make money doing this? Was it
I never thought about making money doing it, but I thought I could play the tour. Back then, you know, again, back then, this is 1969, 70. If you could shoot even par on a regular basis, you could make a living on tour. You know, you wouldn't get rich, but you could make a living. If you could shoot par all the time, you could make a living. And I said, you know, I think I could do that. So that's about the time I really got the bug to want to play golf for a living.
Yeah, absolutely. And what did that transition look like from, you know, young teenager playing golf with your buddies, getting good, getting competitive, knowing you could win, wanting to win your age group, to, okay, I'm on tour, I'm playing with professionals, I have bills, maybe you had kids that came along the way during this process?
I mean, my story is, I mean, every story of every player, whether they made it or not, is interesting because it's quite a journey. You know, I started playing junior golf, and then of course we played high school golf, and our high school team was hilarious. We had three of us who were really good players. We'd shoot par better every time. But then our fourth player on our team, who you had to count, would shoot 50 or 60. And when they played decent, we'd win all the time. But that's a small town. You know, we weren't like at a big city or a fancy country club. You know, coach drove us in his car to the matches from high school, and so we played in high school, and I was going to go to the University of Florida. I'm not a Florida fan, not a Go Gator. My sister went there. I don't like them. And I was going to go to the University of Florida, and I talked to the golf coach there, and I was going to walk on and see if I could qualify for the team. Interesting story. My senior year, my golf pro at the club called. And he knew I was a University of Alabama fan because my dad had gone there. And he said, hey, I've got the University of Alabama golf coach coming out to play golf. Do you want to come play with him? And I said, you bet I do. So, I mean, I went out one afternoon with the coach from the University of Alabama, who just happened to be traveling through town and played a round of golf, and he invited me to walk on at the University of Alabama. So I pulled all of my stuff from the University of Florida and said I'm in, and that was 2 weeks before school started.
Yeah.
So packed up my stuff in the car and drove to Tuscaloosa.
Wow, that's all. And then all 4 years playing in school?
Yeah, lettered all 4 years at the University of Alabama. In fact, I just found my leather sweater that I got.
That's awesome. Cool.
It was I just found it in cleaning out some stuff. It was like I hadn't seen that in 30 years.
Still fit you?
And I didn't try it on yet.
No, that's awesome. That's great. Thanks for sharing that. And then after college, went on to play golf professionally, correct?
Well, I mean, yes and no. Because I got married way too young. While I was in college, I was 19. Played golf through college, and then when I got out, I had to make a living. So I went to work in the golf business. I worked at the club where I grew up, Ponce de Leon Country Club in St. Augustine. And I was working in the bag room. And the reason you work in the bag room, because unlike now where we have player service attendants, we were bag boys and cart boys. That's what we were called. You made minimum wage. I remember I made $2.25 an hour. Felt rich. Plus tips. You had a pocket full of quarters at the end of the day. But the reason I worked there, my buddy was also a player, one who wanted to play, because we set our schedules. There were only two of us, so we worked 7 days and off 7. So we'd be on 7, off 7.
Pretty sweet.
So you'd work 7, and those 7 days you worked, like when you closed up shop, you went out and played golf till the sun went down.
Right.
Then on the 7 days you were off, you found tournaments to play in.
Okay.
So you went out and competed. And you might be, in 7 days you could play in 2 events, because they were usually 2-day tournaments back then.
Okay.
Mini tour stuff. So you'd leave work and drive to Orlando, Florida, 2.5 hours away, find a Motel 6, bunk up with 4 guys, so it was costing you like each $8, eat Taco Bell and play competitive golf. So I did that for a number of years, and that's how I kind of got playing professionally. Went to tour school once early on, didn't make it through the first phase of tour school. A little dejected, so I went and got a real assistant's job at a real country club. And got out of the bag room and said, well, you know what, I guess I better go make a living now, since I got knocked out one time. Well, I was there at that club. It was the Deerwood Club in Jacksonville, Florida. Worked for a great guy named John Upton, and John knew I was a player and liked to play, and he still let me compete when when I could get off work. But then the head professional job came open at the club I grew up and had worked as a cart boy.
Right.
And they called me and said, "Do you want the job?" I said, "Yeah." 21 years old,
right.
Had no clue what the world was like.
Yeah, I think of golf operations just here at the club, and there's so many moving parts. I know Matt has his hands and eyes on everything, so that's phenomenal. What did you enjoy about transitioning from playing on the weekends with the buddies, making money, to having that real job and getting into instruction, right? Teaching others how to do it really well. Well,
I've never considered golf a real job because it's a passion. It's the beauty of the business of golf is that you're around a lot of people who have the same love of the same kinds of things. So it's never like going to work. I've never had a day that I've gone to work and just hated life. Yeah, days are tough and things are bad and tough things happen, but I've never not wanted to go to work ever in my career. I love people. I like being around people. I like serving people. I think you either have that in your DNA or you don't. If you're successful in a people business, you're a servant, and that there is no higher form of work, in my opinion, because the ultimate servant is Jesus Christ. He was a servant. He served all of us. So if you don't, to even think, gosh, I can serve some people, to me that makes me feel good. To have somebody say thanks, to have somebody say, well, I had a really good day, that's the most rewarding part of the business. And that's really what kept me in it. I mean, when I first started, I owned my own golf shop. I owned my own golf shop for 10 years, and I did not like that at all. I'm not a merchandiser. Yeah. I'm not good at selling stuff. I depended on people around me to help me do that. I could run the business part, but it wasn't my passion. My passion was running tournaments, being at the counter with the members, playing golf with the members, teaching the members, being around that sort of great energy that you get from people having fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's what kept me in the business, for the 42 years I've been in golf.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. I was having a conversation with Brooke, the concierge desk, a few weeks back, and just talking about her journey here. She's been here 2 years longer than you, I think.
Yeah, I think she started, I've been here over 6. I think she's been here 7.5-ish, something like that.
Yeah, and it's just, I'm so impressed here. Everywhere you go, there's a fun event. There is a happy hour going on. There's some sort of activity. So that energy that the club brings is phenomenal, and I'm glad that you're able to share that with us too. When you first started here, what was the one obstacle that you had to overcome to maybe implement that? Because we work with a lot of different companies and organizations, and I see their structure, and I feel like you guys have a really good structure. I know who to go to as a vendor for anything I need, and I don't get that many places. So what was that first obstacle when you started that could help you kind of implement your vision here? Having done this for as many years as I've done it, and having worked for a great company, Trim Golf, I learned a lot about the business of golf. But I learned a lot about transitioning clubs from one model to another, or from one culture to another. So when I walked in here, I said, okay, so we're taking this from being a semi-private club back to being a private club. So to do that, you have to gain trust. You have to gain trust from your owners, your bosses. You have to gain trust from your members, and you have to gain trust from your staff. There were people here who had bad experiences in all of those realms from previous management. Absolutely.
So I had to first come in and say, here's who I am, here's what I believe, and then live that every day to gain that trust. It doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It never happens overnight. But I think, if you come from the heart and come from the soul and say what you believe and say what you think, whether people like it or not is one thing, but they can believe you because you're speaking the truth.
Absolutely.
And once people started to believe and trust that I would say what I was going to do and do it, or do what I was going to, do it and then tell them about it, and be truthful and admit to mistakes and admit to good things, but most of all, just be honest and open and truthful.
Absolutely. You're speaking the word too, because I can't tell you how many projects we've been involved in together when it's not going as it should, and you're just honest and open. And I think that open communication from the top is phenomenal, because then I can go out there and have a true, open, honest conversation with membership about things we have going on, and it's really makes my life easy. So thank you.
Well,
I appreciate that.
You have to be on the. One thing I learned many years ago is the truth, whether you say it or not. So you might as well say it, because it's going to be there, whether you admit it or not. And then you can deal with it. Then, if you do that, you can then deal with whatever happens.
Right.
If you're dealing from the truth. And you know what? I learned as a very young man that I'm not smart enough to lie, because I cannot remember all those stories.
Right.
It's just easier if it's the truth. And if you forget, you forget.
Yeah.
But you're not worried, because what did I say? No, I said what I saw, or what it was, or what I perceived it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can tell on a day-to-day basis that you exert that to your staff, so that's awesome.
Well, we've got such a good group of people here.
Absolutely.
I believe that if you put people in a good, positive place, you empower them to truly do what they need to do, and then you trust them to do it, they will do their best. And if they can't succeed at it, then you have to talk about what do we need to do, but you can't set them up to fail. You set them up to succeed. You give them the tools, and you trust them and believe them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then you're here to help them. So on that note, I know we're working every day, every week to enhance the membership experience here so our members can get involved in programs and enjoy their club. What's your highest vision of the club in regards to membership experience? What do you want to create for our people to be involved in each and every day when they're here?
I feel like we're already creating that. Has it blossomed? Has it grown? Have we birthed this child? No. But we are creating it. We're creating a place where people want to be. They look here. When I first came here, for example, dining room was empty every night. And it wasn't because we didn't necessarily provide a good product or we didn't have good service. But there was not an energy that made people think of, hey, what's the club doing? What's going on there? So living in the club world, you can't, it's a business, no question. It has to pencil, it has to make sense, right? We have to be able to pay the bills and pay the people.
Absolutely.
But you can't, it's not about the money, it's about fun. And you ask any of my leaders here, they will tell you, what's my motto is the money follows the fun. So we've spent all the time creating fun. Now you go in the dining room and any night it's packed.
Absolutely.
And is the food and service better? Maybe a little. But what's better is the energy. The energy's better. So people are flocking to it. That's like, oh, that's fun. We'll go see our friends. We'll go meet people we know. We'll be with like-minded people.
Yeah.
That's what makes it special.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's fun going on all corners of this place. And coming into our busy season here in Arizona, what's the insight you can provide us on how you keep a pulse on all this fun going on and keep yourself sane on the daily grind?
Well, I mean, I know, I mean, the old adage of management by walking around, right? MBWA, everybody's heard that. But if you truly live it and you live it every day, you know what's happening. I try to touch every staff member every day, and I would say especially the ones that are on the front line that touch the members, because they know what's going on. They have the pulse and the energy. I don't see members every day, but every player service attendant, every valet, the golf professionals, the servers, how are you doing? What's going on? What's happening? It's wonderful when people run up to my office because they said, one of the members said something and they asked me, is that true? And I can tell them yes or no, and they believe me. And they can take that back to the members, say, no, that's not true. But I'm around. I like to be around. I think when staff see you and members see you, they know you're involved, right?
Absolutely.
I don't have all the answers. I can't answer half the questions around here because I have a group of expert professionals doing what they do, but I sure know who to go to that can provide that answer. And I just like to be in touch. It's part of the fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you are here and available, so we appreciate that from our fitness side too. Last thing I want to finish with, what can membership expect from the club this season? Well, I guess I can start a little bit on the fitness side.
Yeah.
We've got a few projects going on at the sports club. We've got some new flooring coming in on the group fitness side. So excited to get that in. Once that's in, we'll be able to organize and move our equipment around to help with the gym floor flow because it is getting busy. We've got bocce season coming up, so we got a full bocce season starting next week, as well as a sport court kickoff, which our tennis and pickleball team will take you through some drills and activities to learn some new skills on the court, and then you'll find out about our clinics as well. And that's on the fitness, sport court, and bocce side, starting as soon as next week.
There's so much going on here. It's part of, I mean, from the golf events that we have, which we've tried to tighten up the golf calendar a little bit. Absolutely. You know, we try to force what would be a 9-month schedule into a 5-month period, and it just gets to be too much. And at some point, you have to look at that and say, what can we change to make it better? Because the last thing we want is a golf course that no one can play because there's always an event going on. And we hear that from time to time, you know, and we listen to that. So we want to provide more opportunities for casual golf, and I think we've done that this year. I think we've opened up the calendar a little bit, moved some events around, eliminated an event or two to open up more casual golf. The culinary club has proven to be huge. You know, right now, today, as I sit, we're still looking for a new chef. Between Candace and I, we've probably interviewed 30 plus people.
Wow.
But it's not all about what can you cook, it's about what kind of energy do you bring to the team when you hire a new key member of the team. So, you know, we're still looking for that right person. I think we're getting closer, which is a good thing. So I think we're going to do a lot of fun things in the culinary side again, add a few more things, add some more wine tastings. We love Nicole and the things that she does on property and off property.
Absolutely.
You know, that to me makes it exciting that your club is just not a place to go and dine. It's a place you can go and you can go, hey, they're going to Sedona. Or like we did last year, we went skydiving, which I think we're going to go again. So I'm going to challenge anybody who wants to come with me to go. I will do it again. It's the most terrified I've ever been in my life, and I want to do it again.
I remember coming. I think I got here right as you guys got back or were leaving, and you were fired up for sure.
I was on this rush, this high of adrenaline that I rode for probably 2 weeks, honestly, because I was literally I know what the word terrified means now. I was facing in my mind death, jumping out of an airplane.
Right.
But once I did it, it was a huge thrill, and to overcome those things, you know, it's kind of cool from a personal standpoint. You know, I like doing things that challenge myself. I love doing things that I'm afraid to do because once you do them, then you've mastered, you're in charge of yourself. You're not letting fear or outside events rule how you think. So that's the reason I do a lot of the things I do. I don't do a lot of risky behaviors, but I like to do some things that are adrenaline pumping, you know, get the heart rate up.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that, and thanks for tuning in. We really look forward to seeing you around the club this year and appreciate you listening to our conversation with Mark Gurnow at Superstition Mountain Golf and Country Club. There we have it, folks. My conversation with Mark Gurnow at Superstition Mountain Golf and Country Club. By the time you're listening to this, you may have already participated in bocce or some of the awesome programs we have going on there. I appreciate you engaging in what we offer at the club. We greatly appreciate the opportunity to be there. Zach and I are very fortunate in our fitness team to be involved with you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Again, very grateful for your support, and we look forward to seeing you around the club.